Hello everyone, in this video we're going to draw a cow. Start by drawing a circle as a guide for the front part of the body. To draw the circle, first make two small marks to indicate the circle's length, and then on the sides make two more small marks to indicate the circle's width. Then connect the marks using curved lines to finish the shape of the circle. Sketch lightly at first so that it's easy to erase if you make a mistake. Also, pause the video to draw at your own pace. The circle doesn't have to be perfect, but if you're having trouble drawing it, just trace the outer edge of a cup, a lid, or anything else with a circular edge. To the right, draw another circle as a guide for the back portion of the body. Use the 4 marks method to draw this circle too. First make 4 small marks to indicate the sides of the circle, and then connect the marks using curved lines to finish the shape of the circle. Draw the two circles roughly the same size. Draw the circles close to each other. If you draw them far apart, the body will be too long. On the top left side, draw a smaller circle as a guide for the head. Use the 4 marks method to draw this circle as well. Pay attention to the size of the head circle in relation to the first circle. This circle should be about 1/5 the size of the first circle. Don't place the head circle too far away from the first circle or the neck will be too long. Below the head, draw a short horizontal line for the first part of the guide for the muzzle. Now connect the line to the head circle using curved lines to finish the guide for the muzzle. Curve the lines outward at the top to create the jaw. Draw a vertical line across the entire head shape. This is a construction guide that will help you place the facial features later on. Now draw a curved horizontal line for another construction guide. Place this line close to the bottom edge of the head circle. On the top left side of the head, draw a curved line as a guide for the first ear. This guide should be similar to a sideways arc. On the right side of the head, draw another sideways arc as a guide for the other ear. Draw the two ears roughly the same size. Under the first circle, draw a long vertical line as a guide for the front leg. Pay attention to the length of this line in relation to the body. On the lower right side of the second circle, draw another long line as a guide for the hind leg. Bend this line slightly at the top and again in the middle to indicate where the joints will be. Connect the head to the body using a couple of lines to create the guide for the neck. The line at the bottom should be longer and more curved than the line at the top. Now connect the circles in the middle using horizontal lines to finish the guide for the torso. On the top right side of the body, draw a long line as a guide for the tail. Start drawing the line going to the right and then curve it downward toward the hind leg. And that's it for the guidelines. Now let's start on the final drawing. Inside the head, on top of the horizontal construction guide, lightly sketch 2 small circles for the eyes. Place the eyes very close to the sides of the head circle. Pay attention to the size of the eyes in relation to the head. When you get the size and position of the eyes right, darken the shapes. Draw a long curved line along the top edge of the eye. Darken the bottom edge of the circle. Now darken the eye on the right the same way. Draw a curved line along the top edge of the eye. Make the tips of the line longer for the corner of the eye and the eyelashes. Darken the bottom part of the circle. On top of each eye, draw a short curved line for the eyelids. Draw a short curved line below each eye too for wrinkles. Draw a tiny circle inside each eye for highlights. Now shade the eyes. Don't overlap the tiny highlight circles as you shade the eyes. Use a dark value on the top part of the eyes and a light value at the bottom to make the shapes rounder. The eyes should be similar to each other, but it's okay if they're not perfectly symmetrical. Darken the lines at the top and make them thicker to emphasize the eyelashes. Now lightly sketch a horizontal line for the mouth close to the bottom edge of the guide for the muzzle. Leave a small space between this line and the bottom edge of the guide. Curve the sides of the line up to create the sides of the muzzle. When you get the size and position of the mouth right, darken the line. Curve the sides of the muzzle inward at the top. Below the mouth, draw a short curved line for the chin. Make the bottom part of this line a bit wavy. The chin should fit within the shape of the initial guide. Above the mouth, on the sides of the muzzle, draw a couple of short curved lines for the nostrils. Sketch lightly at first and only darken the lines when you get the shapes right. The shape of each nostril should be similar to a drop of water. Draw the nostrils on either side of the vertical construction guide. Add a few short strokes around the nostrils to emphasize the shape of the muzzle. Use the arc on the top left side as a guide to draw the first ear. Darken the basic path of the guide, but make the right side thinner. Inside the ear, draw a long line to give the shape more structure and shorter lines for hair. Use the arc on the right side as a guide to draw the other ear the same way. Follow the basic path of the arc, but make the shape of the ear thinner. Add a series of short lines inside the shape to give the ear more structure and some hair. Now use the remaining shapes and lines as guides to draw the rest of the head. Draw a few curved lines above and below the eyes along the edge of the initial head circle. Connect the eyes to the muzzle using curved lines to create the sides of the head. Curve the lines outward to emphasize the jaw. At the top, follow the basic path of the initial circle to create the top of the head. Make the shape wider where the head connects to the ears. Use a series of short strokes along the top edge of the head for fur. Don't make the strokes on top of the head too long. Add a couple of curved lines above the eyes to emphasize the brow. Use the vertical line under the first circle as a guide to draw the front leg. Lightly sketch the shape of the leg around the guideline. Make the top part of the leg wider than the bottom. The overall shape should be thin, so don't draw the edges of the leg too far away from the guide. At the bottom, draw a square-like shape for the hoof. When you get the shape of the leg right, darken the lines. Curve the middle of the shape inward to create a joint. Add a short vertical line at the bottom to split the hoof. The top part of the leg should be inside the shape of the body. Now use the angled line to the right as a guide to draw the hind leg the same way. First, lightly sketch the shape of the hind leg around the guideline. Make the top part of the leg wide and the bottom narrow. Use a square-like shape at the bottom for the hoof. In the middle, curve the shape to the left to create the joint. When you get the shape of the leg right, darken the lines. Draw the top left side of the hind leg inside the body. Draw a short vertical line at the bottom to split the hoof. Pay attention to how the shape curves in the middle to create the joint. The top part of the hind leg should be wider than the top part of the front leg. Now use the remaining shapes and lines as guides to draw the rest of the body. Simply darken the outer edges of the guides to create the shape of the body. Curve the lines at the top to give the body more structure. Make the line below the head slightly wavier than the initial guideline. Don't overlap the legs as you darken the underside of the body. Curve the line for the underside of the body up toward the hind leg. Break up the line so that it's made up of short strokes. Use the line on the right as a guide to draw the tail. Just like with the legs, draw the shape of the tail around the guideline. Keep the edges of the shape close to the guideline so that the tail is thin. At the bottom, draw a curved shape that's made up of short strokes for the hair on the tail. Lightly sketch a curved line between the underside of the body and the hind leg for the udder. Along the edge, draw a couple of small U-shaped lines for the teats. The other two teats are hidden behind the hind leg. To the left of the front leg, draw a vertical line for the other front leg. Use the first front leg as a template to draw this leg. Draw this leg slightly shorter than the first front leg. To the left of the hind leg, draw the hind leg that's on the other side of the body the same way. Use a square-like shape at the bottom for the hoof. Make the shape of the leg thin. Draw this leg similar to the first hind leg but make it shorter. Now erase the initial guidelines. The next few steps are sped up so that the video won't be too long. Don't worry about erasing all of the guidelines. It's okay if you leave some behind. Redraw any of the final lines that you may have accidentally erased. Now shade your drawing. First, draw random shapes on the body for the black pattern. Now shade in the pattern using a dark value. Don't worry too much about the pattern, just add random big shapes throughout the body. A lot of cows have dark sections around the eyes and ears, so you can add some dark patches there. You can use whatever pattern you'd like on your drawing, it doesn't have to look like this pattern. Shade lightly at first and gradually build up to a darker value. For a light value, push down very lightly on your pencil, then push down harder for darker values. Add a medium value to the front part of the muzzle. Use a light value above the nostrils for a highlight. If you added patches on the sides of the head, use a lighter value around the eyes to give them more structure. Pick a light source when you shade so that the shadows are consistent throughout the body. Here the light source is coming from the top, so most of the shadows will be on the underside of the shapes. Shading can be time consuming, so be patient and take breaks. It's a good idea to use reference as you shade for a more accurate depiction of a cow. Draw a shadow at the bottom using a medium value. This grounds the cow so that it doesn't appear to be floating. Keep shading until you're happy with the result. And that's it for the cow. Don't forget to pause the video to draw at your own pace. Also, please visit howtodrawanimals.com where every step of this tutorial is broken down into an individual image. That's how, and then the number 2, then drawanimals.com. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like and a comment. Also subscribe for more videos in the future. Thank you for watching, and until next time, keep drawing.